Oh, I can hear the birds in the background. Awesome.
Yes, yes. In the middle of nowhere.
Good.
But I lost you.
Okay.
Hang on, let me pull you back up here. There you are.
There you are.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Okay. Are we ready to go?
We are.
Okay. Randall, how about you tell me about your near-death experience? How old were you?
I was 6, soon to be 7 years old. It was September 1968. September 28th, 1968. Yeah.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Did you remember it right away? Did it come back later?
Oh, yeah. I remembered it. I remembered it right away. And dealing with it, being 6 years old. I mean, my mom's dad, I gave you a brief history. My mom's dad was a Southern Baptist minister. So your imagination can go wild with that in itself. Okay. And we grew up in a very religious family. We went to church all the time up until anyways. So it was a really religious family, and talking about a near-death experience, there were connotations with the religious aspect of it, meaning that I was going to go to hell, or stop talking about this and stop making this stuff up, and so on and so forth. So I remember the near-death experience like it was yesterday. And at that particular point, it was immediate that I remembered the experience. But with a little time, I started suppressing it and repressing it because of what everybody was saying to me and doing and so on. It was really tough, because I would see things and hear things, and people would say, you're not, there's nothing there, or go back to sleep, or whatever the case may be. So that was really a big struggle for me, having an NDE at 6 years old, because there was nobody to talk to at all. Nobody.
So you didn't tell anybody? You just kept it inside?
Oh, well, yeah, I told everybody. I told everybody what I saw. Yeah, yeah. Well, I talked a lot when I was a kid, so it hadn't changed. So yeah, I told everybody, and to a point to where they just stopped listening. So I stopped telling. And then just, because of the fact that we were a religious family, so we'd go to church, and I would tell a few people, and then all of a sudden I wouldn't say anything to anybody, because I just didn't like the backlash of what what kids would say, or adults would say, or just anything like that. And when you get called a liar enough, you just don't say anything anymore, because I know the truth. I know what I saw. I know what I experienced.
Hopefully,
I know all of it.
a child today, would be received differently.
Yes.
But you never know. I mean, sometimes things surprise me.
Yeah, and there are groups out there, like the near-death experience studies people and things like that are doing more for understanding what children are going through, especially in young adulthood, and then getting to be our age or older, having a near-death experience at such an early age. And again, there was really nobody to talk to. You're talking to your purple in the face, and you get tired of people just saying, "Nah, I don't believe any of that," So I just stopped telling people.
Yeah. Telling it is one thing, and having somebody talk to you about it is something else.
Exactly. That's exactly
right.
What
caused you to die?
Stupidity.
Like mine, my drowning.
Stupidity.
Yeah.
Well, my dad worked on cars a lot. He was a painter. And this time he had some people that he needed some mechanical help. So they called him, and he went over to their house. And of course I tagged along with them. And they were working on this car. I think it was a 2-car garage. And they got the car running, and the overhead door was closed, but the only door was open was the walk-in door. And they got the car running, got whatever bugs were going on with it, and it would die and get started again, and it would die. So there was a lot of carbon monoxide within the garage. And I didn't know, I was only 6. So I was in the back of the garage playing with, I don't remember what I was playing with, but I was back here, and the car was running, and they didn't know I was back there. So they were all out standing at the door getting air and things like that. Well, I was inside the garage. I don't know if it was negligence or whatever the case may be, but anyways, I was still in the garage. Being a kid, you play and you're out of sight. And you know how parents are, out of sight, you're out of mind for a minute. So But anyways, I'm back there in the back playing, and I get dizzy. I remember that, and the next thing I know, I'm standing in the light, and there's two beings, and these two beings they're motioning to me, and I'm 6. I go right with them. Never saw any faces or anything like that.
What
I
did the
didn't
beings look
have.
like?
They were shimmery. They're shimmery, kind of like the beard here. And this isn't intentional, but yeah, they were shimmery, and they had just a lot of different colors, like the colors of the rainbow and beyond. You know, lavenders and purples and magentas and things like that. But yeah, they were shimmery. And we walked together, and we walked down. I don't know. It seemed like forever, and we came to these crystal buildings, and they were just massive. And they would say, "These are the healing centers," or "These are the learning centers." And we would walk on, and we wound up. And they said some things to me, and I got a little bit of recall on it, but not a lot. But anyways, so we come to this one point here, and they never really identified themselves with me at all. But they were shimmering beings, and I was 6, so they were probably, I don't know, I was about to their mid chest area tall wise, so they were probably 6 foot, I imagine. But anyways, we walked down this area right here, and we come to this big room. It was really a massive room. And there was what looked like a big well, like you get water from on the farm, except this thing was huge, and it was shaped like an octagon. I remember it looking like a stop sign, but laying down. So we walk up to it, and of course, being, I don't know, 6, I stuck my hands in it, and there was a slight tingling sensation went on while my hands were in this. And I pulled them back, and I kind of looked at things, and I'm going, it's kind of weird, you know. So I stuck my hands back in there, and then I pulled them out, and then these two beings appeared right next to me, and they said, "You can go any direction you want to go." And when they said that, there was a tunnel in front of me, a tunnel behind me, and I could look to either left or right, and there were tunnels on both sides of me. So I'm still kind of doing the thing here with my hands in the well. Really getting a tingling sensation, and I scan to the right, I'll look to the left, I'll look straight and look back left, and when I look back left again, I was on a couch in these people's house, and apparently I don't have any record of this. I've been trying to find these people, but anyways, I woke up on this couch, and when I came to, they were pulling an oxygen mask off my face. So apparently, I'm not sure where she got it from. I think she was a nurse or something like that, because they had oxygen in the house. So they did that to me, and my chest was sore from them pumping on me. And I just kind of sat up, bawling my eyes out. I sat up and I go, "Wow, that was crazy." And I passed back out again. And then it seemed like, I don't know, could be 2 minutes, could be 3 minutes, could be 4. I don't know. I came back to again, and they were putting me in the car, and it was just me and my dad. So they were putting me in the car, and then my dad went home, picked up my mom and my sister, and then they took me to the doctor's office instead of to the hospital. So the doctor set me on the table, and he's doing the reflect test and all this stuff, hitting me with this little hammer all over the place, and making sure I was good, dilated my eyes, and I looked over at me, he says, "He's good to go." I was still very, very dizzy. I shouldn't have went home. But anyways, so we go home, and I think I slept for a day and a half or something like that. Probably should have went to the hospital. But anyways, after a while, I was able to talk to my dad, and he said, "Yeah, you were down for about 19, 20 minutes, somewhere in that area. You had no pulse, and you weren't breathing, and they were pounding on me and doing the air and whatever else they were doing at the time." And there you have it. Now, since then, it's been really weird. You know, I immediately started seeing people. I would see people walking down hallways. I heard things. I could hear the animals, the birds, like the birds I hear now. It was really weird at that point. And then you start talking to people and telling them about what you experienced and the beings and this and that. And you have a very imaginative, Randall. You need to stop, stop. So after a while, I just stopped talking about it. And then
You
at
could
some point or
hear birds
another,
and animals, the people that weren't there.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. And those senses, since then, that was 1968. And those senses since then have heightened quite considerably. And a lot of that has to do with, regular meditation, studying shamanism, studying the physical and the spiritual body, and diving deeper into things to really get a grasp on what happened to me. Because like I said, there wasn't really anybody to talk to after I had this experience. So I had to do a lot of studying and going out on a limb on my own in order to find out anything. And then I ended up joining a near-death experience group out of Fort Wayne. And that helped out a lot. And that was 25 years ago, I believe, possibly 30, 25, somewhere in that area.
Wow.
And that helped immensely. Like I said, there wasn't really anybody to talk to. And especially having, phenomenon or weird things happen because of me, I guess. It's spirit did the work, but, we're just hollow bones. So, and I imagine you've had some crazy experiences like that too, eh?
Did this start to come more clear or more prevalent or more on your mind as you got older? Did you put it away as you were younger, or have you always?
I put it away as far as I could get it, and you've experienced this too, more than likely, Peggy. Is you can hide this stuff all you want to, and you can suppress it and repress it all you want to. If you're not using these gifts that were given to you because of the experiences, then you can get sick, and things just not going good in your life, and things can be turned upside down and this and that. So I learned probably somewhere in my early 20s, 25, 26 to, okay, I hear thoughts. I can sit across the room from somebody and I can pick up their thoughts. I can see auras. And I've been able to do this for a long, long time. And I hear things and I sense things. And it's crazy. If I can touch you, I can tell you what you had for breakfast. So it's kind of stuff that having to deal with having an experience. So yeah, it's a little different.
What was the most impactful experience after your NDE, do you think, of your spiritual experiences? Anything stand out in your mind?
Yeah. My mom, when I was a teenager, that's when I really started noticing, when I was in my early teens, probably 13, 14, somewhere in that area. She would say, "Hey, Randall, I have a headache. Can you come over here and kiss my head for me, please?" I'd go over and I'd grab her head and just kiss my mom's head, and pat it for a second. And she'd go on my way. She says, "Very good. I don't have a headache anymore." And, my mom asked me to do that all the time. So either I'm not sure if it worked, or it's just something to pacify her son. I don't know. But she asked me all the time to do it. And then at some point or another in that time frame, there was a couple kids down the street from us, and they would come down and say, "Randall, we know you're kind of different." You don't tell a kid that, But anyways, they say, "Well, can you touch my hand, or can you touch my arm or something? I got some really bad pains and this and that." And I would, being a kid and thinking about it, I said, "Okay, man, how you doing?" Rub their arm or their back or their head or whatever, certain, and they'd go about their business. And I wouldn't hear any more from them. I guess no news is good news. So, and I did that at a very early age. Like I said, at early 13, 12, 13. Then it's like, there's something to this. There's something to this. So, and I knew I sensed things. So I would just randomly, at that time we had dial-up phone, no caller ID. So the phone would ring, and I would think in my head, okay, this would be Jeff. So I pick up the phone. Sure enough, it's Jeff on the other end. So I tested myself all the time just to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Did you link that to the NDE?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Like maybe those groups you went to help explain that to you, or you had researched it?
I researched it, and yes, they helped. It definitely helped. Sitting next to somebody else who got struck by lightning, and they covered him up with the sheet. He was gone, and then I'm talking to him next to me. This is 20 years later, Yeah, I think there's some legitimacy going on between my experience and his experience and everybody else around the table. At one time, I think there was probably, I don't know, 10, 12 members that we got together all the time and talked, and it really helped out a bunch of people. It really just helped out. Like I said, there's really nobody to talk to. You got the clergy in the church, and they, unless they've had a near-death experience, they don't know really. They only assume, to know what they're talking about, and that's all aspects of clergy. And you might run across an occasional counselor who's dealt with somebody who's had a near-death experience, and that's kind of rare in itself too. But yeah, there was really nobody to talk to. Nobody.
Who do you talk to now?
Um, I don't really talk to a whole lot of people about my experience, other than when I'm either teaching a class or doing an interview, or I teach a lot of classes or lectures. I've been asked to speak at several places, so I'll do those, and then you get asked about what happened and this and that. And I have a lot of metaphysical friends in this area right here, basically all over the country, and I talk to them actually quite often. So I do groups like that, and I do meditations, and I teach classes.
What
There's
do
other
you
services
teach?
that I offer. Um, I teach shamanism. I also teach Reiki. I'm a Reiki master. I have a palm reading class that I teach also. Your fate is in your hands. Okay, there's lines in your hands that can basically direct you. If properly read, I can read your palm and give you a good direction by what your palm is saying.
Is that
So I
something
do
you
that.
learn to do, or is that something you instinctively learn?
Kind of both. I was always drawn to the hand, and I always questioned those lines in my hand. And I've been to a couple palm readers, and yeah, no, they're not very good. But anyways, yeah. So I was really interested in the palms, and I started reading some books about it. And I had another palm reading read, and she was pretty decent. And then I read more, and then I really dove into it, started studying it. So I've been reading palms about 30 years. So I love it. I love all aspects of it. And when I'm reading your palm, just the simple act of touching your hand, now I'm tuned into you, and I can give you a reading if somebody steps in from spirit, or if you got certain questions or whatever. 99% of the time, they don't ask me any questions. I'll answer or say what is going on in my head, and then they will say, "That was what I was going to ask you. That was what I was going to ask you." So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I've been doing that for a long time.
When I was in high school, I got somehow designated like counselor just by word of mouth for the junior high kids when I was in senior high.
Yeah.
And I had got a book at the library about palm reading, just learned a little bit. And I was reading palms. It was just a fun thing. I didn't take it seriously. I probably made up stuff. I was just going. I was a teenager, and then we had like I don't know, it was a 10-year high school union or what it was. And this guy come up to me and he says, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I want to tell you everything you told me come true." And I said, "I didn't know what I was doing. Don't pay. No, let me tell you. You told me how many kids I'd have, how many marriages." And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. He really was like, oh, wound up and serious. And I'm just like, but then, as you get older and you look back as for me, I start connecting the dots with spiritual things, and like, I don't know, maybe I did have a little gift and I didn't know it, but
Yeah, we all do. I mean, we all do. And having a near-death experience that just kind of fines tune that guitar string a little bit better. So yeah, you definitely had a tune-up going on. And more than likely, you've had experiences throughout your life since your near-death experience that has heightened some of your senses, opened you up a little farther, bringing new things to you. It's like the station you're doing here. You wouldn't be able to do this if you wouldn't have had a near-death experience. So a lot of doors have been opened up to you because of what has happened to you, and they will continue to open up to you. You're doing a great job, and great things are happening here, and I love it.
thank
It's
you.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking to other near-death experiencers, and I think if other people hear the conversations, that maybe can help somebody else, or maybe it's education, or you don't know where it's going, or if it's going anywhere. But I enjoy doing it, like having
Right,
fun. So
right, yeah. And this is what it has been a real struggle. Again, I was 6. How old were you?
5.
You were 5. Okay. Okay, so yeah, just the struggle of growing up and having those gifts and abilities and knowing that, how many more people are going to call you weird and you're going to start believing it or going, okay, why are they calling me weird? And they would ask me things. And speaking of advice, I had kids come up to me that were like 3 and 4 years older when I was in grade school asking me for advice. And that's why are you asking me for advice? Well, we kind of think you might know this. So,
yeah.
okay.
When I was
So
about 10, my mom started coming to me for advice. I already had it. My oldest sister was disabled. I was already like a mother to her, even though she's like 6 years older than me. But then when I was about 10, my mom started coming to me for advice, so I ended up being like her mother. And then I didn't think anything of it. And it's like, yeah, people just kept coming to me and they still do,
Yeah,
ask
still do
Peggy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I was early
absolutely.
20s. People were sending their kids to me, my family members, aunt or cousins and whatever, send them to Peggy, send those kids to Peggy. She takes care of kids, send them to Peggy. So that's how I ended
Absolutely.
up started doing foster care. I thought, well, I might as well start getting paid for this. I seen an ad in the
Right.
paper. I thought, heck, I'm already doing it anyway. So, but yeah, and it's still that way. People come to me and want to know what I think and what should I
Interesting.
do about this?
So more than likely on your right hand, the fate line comes from your middle finger, and you should have one solid line that goes down to the heel. This is the heel. This is the inside. This is the heel. So you should have one line that comes straight down right to there, almost right to
There's
there. Do
three.
you?
There's 3 lines.
Okay.
Like one comes from here and one comes from here. So there's
Perfect.
3, 4 actually.
Yep.
4.
Perfect. So you knew what you were going to do, really unbeknownst to you right off the bat. So you've been doing healthcare since the beginning.
I was actually a candy striper in junior high. I started as a candy striper. And then my
you're
first
going to
job
have,
in high school was I just turned 18. I hadn't graduated yet. Was a nurse's aide.
yeah.
And my
Yeah,
guidance
cool. Very
counselor
cool.
brought me in one day and he's like, you need to be a nurse. And people have been telling me my whole life, you need to be a nurse. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm too sympathetic. I can't stand to have, work in the nursing home. I would sit and hold somebody's hand and cry. I'm so sorry. You're
Been there.
hurting. I can't take it,
Been
And I
there.
thought I wanted
Been
to work on the squad one time, and I started going to classes and they started sticking a tube down a dummy's throat and I started gagging. I grabbed my
That was
purse and
it.
I ran out of there. But I
That
ended
was
up
it for that.
working in an emergency room, but as a patient representative, was like an advocate. And they said, we want somebody that has absolutely no medical training at all. You're just here for like the emotional side. I was like, well, that's me. And so that was the best job I ever had.
So more than likely on your pinky finger, right here on this base, right here, you should have a lot of lines going up and down.
I have a line going right there, straight down.
You're supposed to be a healer in the healthcare field, some sort, not necessarily medicine or anything like that, but counseling is in the healthcare. Because if a person has a good state of mind, they get a good state of body.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're doing very well.
I was a counselor in women's prison. I was an investigator for children's services.
That's awesome.
I was a drug addiction counselor, which I hated that. I don't like working with addiction.
Yeah.
Those are dark energies. And I worked as a social worker in a mental hospital, and I hated that. I cried driving to work every day because those dark energies in there, you could cut it with a knife. I mean, it's so thick.
Yes. Well, speaking of dark energies, I've always been able to see spirit. So a physical body would appear, then it would dissipate and go into nothing. I've always been able to see that. And at one point or another, somewhere in my 20s or so, I had a spirit appear to me and freaked me out. And then I would go about my business, see the spirit again, freak me out. And then one time the spirit basically goes, help. So, okay, what do I do? How do I help you? So with that in mind, I jumped into doing shamanism. I was able to help the spirit cross over. It took me just a little bit, but the spirit continued to come to me until I figured out what I was doing and how to do this. So I helped this particular spirit cross over. And from that point on, I dove headfirst into shamanism. Because of my near-death experience, I've always seen things, always hear things, and your intuition's on fire. So, and seeing all these spirits, I would go to. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, originally, just outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and there's battlegrounds all over the place. And I would see soldiers walking around in different types of uniform and make comments, and then I'd stop saying that because people think, we know we're at a battlefield. I didn't know. I was a kid, and they would make snide remarks about. Stop lying. We know this is a battlefield, but I didn't at that time. So anyways, I've always seen things, seen spirits and stuff like that. So there's a part of shamanism that I do, and I do that still today, and I will continue doing this until it's my time to cross over and stay. I help spirits cross over. If somebody has a haunted location, and instead of bringing in a team to investigate, they would like for these spirits to go home or leave their property, they'll call me. So I've done at this point, I don't know, thousands. We'll just leave it at that. I've done thousands of these. But I'll go to the location and the spirits would come. Some would, some wouldn't. There's fear because apparently word gets out a lot faster than we go there. And there's a lot of fear because and it's not me, it's the spirits that are helping. When we go to a place, 99.999% of the time spirits will leave and there's no more activity going on in that land unless somebody else dies close by within the time that I'm done there. But I help spirit cross over, and that in itself has changed the outlook of my life and the rest of my life. I've done battle scenes where people have been there 200 years, 300 years, people 1,000 years or more.
Have you dealt with evil spirits?
There are dark force entities and there are light force entities. A dark force entity could be considered evil spirits. If a spirit is in that state of mind or state of being or incarnation after incarnation, then I believe that spirit is going to be refurbished. Let's put it that way. So in answering your question, yeah and no. When I was about 15, somewhere in that area, I fell asleep on my bed. That's where I'm supposed to sleep at. But anyways, I have a radio behind my head and I'm a musician. So I always like listening to music and then falling asleep. So I had the radio going, and I just laid down, put my head on the pillow, and I hear this awful scratching at my door. It wasn't my physical walk-in door. It was the closet door, which is across from my bed. So I hear this scratching on the closet door. It's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, scratching again. Oh my God, the door flew open. Oh my God. Now, been to church a lot. Still had the experience going on here, but been to church a lot. So the door flew open and this great big tall dude come out, and it looked like the devil, horns, the whole 10 yards. I mean, oh my God, it was terrifying. Scared me bad. So he come up to me, put his face right in my face, and he goes, I want you. Yeah, exactly. So he went back in the closet, the door shut. I got up, packed my stuff, left that room immediately. I went and crawled in between mom and dad. I'm 14, 15, somewhere in that area. I didn't care. I was just somebody that scared the living out of me. So I hung out there for that night, and the next day I moved to another bedroom somewhere else in the house. Okay, fast forward now. That image and that has stayed with me and is still with me today. But fast forward, let's go 20 years. My parents have passed. They left the house to my sister, my youngest sister. So my youngest sister's gifted. She sees things and hears things. It kind of runs in the family. So she goes, Randall, I need you to come over and clean this house. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to vacuum your home and this and that. She goes, no, I need you to come over and get rid of these spirits that are in my house, these ghosts, these demons. So it's like, oh my God. Oh no, I don't want to do this house. I grew up in this house. I know what's in this house. I'm thinking, I don't want to do this house. I don't want to do this house. I don't want to do this house. So I go do the house.
How do you do it?
What I usually do, I'll burn some sage to loosen up the energy in the house and release any negativity, the negative energy within the house. I'll burn some sage. And as I'm burning the sage, I have a drum and a rattle. I'll use either or, but the drum helps me to, so does the rattle. It helps me to alter my consciousness just enough to be able to pick up dimensional beings easier. Okay, so I'll do that, and it only takes 3-4 minutes in order to get to this state of consciousness. So I'll do this, and then I'll start things where people will start appearing, and I'll start hearing things, and I'll start getting different scenes, like a movie's playing here and a movie's playing here, or a movie's playing here, and it's basically turn ahead. I'm seeing different scenarios going on, and typically when I see things like that, that is, somebody has died in that time frame, somebody has died in that time frame, but they're still on a repeat type of thing going on. So, and I'm able to tune into it. And I noticed one time, I just went, hey. And when I did, they turned around and looked at me. It's like, cool. So at that point, I started talking back and forth, and made an observation for them that, you have passed. Your physical body is now dead. And they're going, wow, no, I didn't know that. But they were still stuck in that loop. It's the blue-gray world that when you're dying, you don't go to the light, but you just kind of stick around on the 5th and 6th and 7th dimensions. It's the blue-gray worlds where they're hanging out at. So they were on a repeat because they didn't believe that they were dead. So once I brought that to their attention, it was unbelievable, Peggy, unbelievable. A light just kind of just appeared. The room started to glow. And the light appeared, not the room, but the spot where I was at started to glow. And then I seen just a little shimmer of light come down. And then they went up, and they were gone. And it's like, oh my God. Oh, thank you. So, oh my God, that was so cool. It was just, chills, tears. It was just unbelievable. So I'm going, okay, let's try that again. So, and I went around and was able to talk to whomever was present. And then after it was all said and done, and then I rattled, I closed the door, and the door to the dimensions. I closed the door, and everything felt lighter, and there was a glow, and the plants seemed to, I could hear them and see them. When you water your plants, you can smell them. You can smell the dirt when you water your plants. So anyways, I'm doing this, and I can feel the energy of the plants, and everything has got a real nice glow to it. So after that, I seriously dove in head first into shamanism, things like that. And what I do is called cycle pump. It's PSYCHOPOMP, cycle pump. And it's somebody who has the ability to help people cross over. And I do it all over, basically all over. I get calls from Thailand, Japan. I've got a call. Can I tell you a story real quick?
Do you go there?
No.
No.
Sometimes
you do this online?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on if they can, depending on the client and myself. I can do it from anywhere in the world, from my house. And if it's something that they absolutely want to have done and have me come there, then they'll pay for expenses to get there.
Is it a relaxation of where they're going to loosen their fear? Is it more to it than that?
There's more to it than that.
Because I don't know anything about this stuff. It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the story. My wife works at she's a prepper for a restaurant. So she works at nighttime for just 3 days a week. She's very good at what she does. But anyways, she had called me. She said her batteries for her phone was going dead, and I need for you to bring me some batteries. I'm okay. So my daughter and we just walked down to where she works at, 3 or 4 blocks away. So we walk in, and she lets us in the back door. And this is like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, maybe 11, somewhere in that area. So my daughter and I let my daughter go first. She's in front of me. We're getting ready to walk to where my wife is. And the young man walks right in front of us. So I stop. And he goes by us, and Kamali, my daughter, she's looking, and I'm looking. Watch the guy go by us. And okay, cool. So we go back to where my wife is. I said, "Who's the guy here?" She goes, "Ain't nobody here." And my daughter goes, "Mom, there was somebody here." And I go, "Yeah, there's somebody here." And my wife goes, "No, there's nobody here." I said, "No, there's somebody here, Mom. I saw it, and so did Kamali." So she goes, "No, there's nobody here." So we change the batteries, and we come walking back through the part of the kitchen to the hallway, and the guy walks back again. So come on, and I stop, and he walks right by, and I went, "Ashley, who's this guy here?" She goes, "There's nobody here." I'm going, "There's somebody here." She goes, "There's nobody here." She goes, "I promise you there's nobody here." And I'm thinking, okay, sure. So, it is a restaurant. There's always somebody in there. So, okay, no big deal. So we leave, and we go home, and she goes, and she got off, and it was after midnight, so she's home, and she goes, man, some guy was standing into the countertop there, and scared me crapless, and I said, okay, told you there was somebody there. She goes, well, I think that's why my batteries went dead. Okay, so I left that alone, and like 5 days passed, and a guy from Australia calls me, and we talked briefly, and he goes, I need some help with my son. My son committed suicide, and I don't feel like he's crossed, and it's been over a year, and I just don't feel like he's crossed. And instantly, the guy that I saw in the hallway come to mind. So, and I go, okay, now, did he have a hoodie on? And did he like to wear designer blue jeans? And he always had a sweatshirt, but it was loosely fit with a hoodie. I said it was a light knit material, and then he had dark hair, and he always wore nice shoes. He goes, yes. I said, that's how he died. He, that's how he died. He had those clothes on. So I went, okay, I think your son is here. So I was able to get a name, and then I told him it was his son. So I was able to cross his son over and talk to his dad at the same time from Australia, and I'm in Indiana. So yeah, there's no separation between time. There is no time. It's just here. It's just now. So being able to do that was kind of really what do I even say here? Enlightening, that I definitely have to be doing this more towards a full-time basis than what I have been doing. I do a lot of these, don't get me wrong, I do a lot of these, but I need to be doing this all the time, because there's just so much going on, and with what's going on with our planet, and then the everything politically that's going on, I think there's more and more people who are committing suicide and things like that. And a lot of it because of, and I'm not bashing religion, the fear of going to hell because you've taken your life is not true at all. Everybody goes to the light. We came from the light, and everybody goes to the light. Eventually, we go to the light. So, and with that in mind, and in regards to that, yeah, more knowledge needs to be brought about the afterlife and things of that sort.
Do you think the timing of all the NDEs coming out now is any relation to everything going on political?
Yep. I think it's all interrelated, because it's more than just political, Peggy. It's good versus evil, completely good versus evil. Look at what the CCP is, it's evil, and I'll really watch what I'm going to say, because I don't want, anyways. But yeah, it's good versus evil. That's what this is all about. It's more than political. And the old saying is, watch the United States, because where the United States goes, the rest of the world goes. So if we're fighting evil and fighting evil and fighting evil, then there's definitely some evil going on.
Feels that way, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
It sure does. Like to our core, like every Indian I know, to our core, we're feeling that.
And for myself, I can say this. I know what being in the light is like. I'm trying to get the sun off my face, sorry. I know what being in the light is like, and I know there's a continuation. I know this is just a vessel, a physical body. We are spirit, just 100% spirit. We will never have 100% of our actual spiritual presence in this physical body, because this physical body is not strong enough to take the pure essence of spirit 100%. We only got 10, 15, maybe 20 in some cases of our actual spiritual body in this physical body. The brain can't take it either. When you know it all, when you're in spirit and you know it all, that ain't gonna hold it. Yeah. It's very expansive.
Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Not really. I mean,
okay.
Unless you got some more questions.
Well, your NDE, has it faded at all?
No, it's actually gotten stronger. The more, it feels like the more that I think about it and bring it to the present, the deeper the grooves in the record become. It's just certain points ever coming out now that I didn't remember. I kind of sort of, but now that things have happened throughout my life, other things have definitely come, to the surface, especially the healing, the hands-on healing and stuff like that. I've been doing that forever and a day. I have sessions all the time. The palm reading and things like that help too. But I like doing the psychopomp work. But yeah, it affects me. My near-death experience absolutely affects me every day. And it does definitely get more intense. I don't know what you know about the Schumann resonance of our planet and what's going on there. Okay. Our planet vibrates at 7.87 beats per second, which is the same as theta in your head. When you go to sleep, it's about what the beat would be. So, with it supposed to be 7.87 or 7.78, one of the two, it's been as high as 300 and 400, 500, 600, 700 beats per second. And when our planet spikes like that, everything on our planet also will spike like that. So if you have gifts and you've been seeing things, it's going to open that door up a little wider so you can see more things. If you've been hearing things, it's going to open that door a little wider so you can hear things. So the Schumann resonance is high, and because it's vibrating so high, it's causing anxieties and things like that too. Your emotions are just through the world, just absolutely over the top and out of this. It's crazy. So yeah. So the Schumann has been messed up now for about the last 2 years or 3 years, and it seems to be getting worse as far as vibration is concerned. So in that in itself is affecting people. And I get calls every day. I do readings, psychic readings and mediumship readings, but I get calls every day about people concerned about the Schumann resonance and why is there so many volcanoes going off and why are there so many earthquakes and how come this and how come that, and oh my God, the UFOs are going crazy. Why are we seeing so many UFOs? It's all interconnected. It is all interconnected.
I have the feeling that we're going to have the technology soon, if we don't already, to have out-of-body experiences.
Oh, absolutely.
And that more people
absolutely
are going to be taking those trips, guided trips on the other side. I've heard some stuff like you just can't just like astral project because you're out there and it's not guided. You're just, in like your land of your imagination or whatever, but like actual guided trips. Because of, what the military has been doing with the remote viewing, I think that it's going to be expanded to where the average person is going to, be taken on those guided tours. And I kind of envision here lately, talk about the good and evil fight, that a guided tour between good and evil, like getting more in tap with those evil forces, the good forces. And I just have a feeling that things are going to be totally changing and opening up into the other realm in our lifetime.
I believe it. Absolutely believe that 100%. Yep.
And I think it's kind of an interesting, but it's a scary to me territory of what we're going to be getting into.
Yeah. And a lot of the kids that have been born from, I would say 10 years ago to now their DNA is different. A lot of them are H negative blood, and things of that sort. They're already coming in tuned up. Let's put it that way. And
are you negative blood?
No, I am not negative blood. No, I'm O positive.
Okay. I've been doing polls the last few years with NDEers, and negative blood's like 7 to 10% of the world population, but with NDEers it's run like 85%.
Wow. Now my wife, she's B negative. She's B negative. Yes, she's B negative.
Yeah. The other day I asked 2 people in one day. I stopped the conversation and I said, I got to ask you something. I said, are you negative blood? And both said, yeah. I'm like, how do you know that? I've only been wrong once. Now you're 2 that I've asked that. And, but the other one, actually their parent was negative, but they weren't. So but you don't even probably have a parent or anything.
I have no idea. Both of my parents are gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a reason that somebody says, how did you come onto that? And I said, well, was reading something that said negative blood people usually have more spiritual experiences. So I go, well, I wonder if they have more likely to have NDEs. And Yeah, they do.
Yeah, yeah. My wife and I've talked about this quite extensively too, about the B negative and just the other negative types too. I think there's some correlation between that and UFOs also, and other gifts. And yeah, I think there's definitely some significance there that needs to be studied.
Is your wife supportive, I assume, of
Oh,
what you?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. She had heart surgery when she was, I think, 12 or 13, and she was gone for just a little bit. Her experience wasn't like mine. Of course, nobody's really two experiences are the same.
Right.
There's similarities in a lot of ways about the near-death experience, but no two are the same. But anyways, yeah, she's very gifted. She is absolutely very gifted too because of that, and she meditates and she studies, and she's very gifted. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's nice to get
Well,
that kind of support too
yes.
from both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah. When I was with my husband, I started, opening up and telling him we first got together. Well, maybe not even first got together. It's after the kids got raised. So like 10 years down the road. And I started opening up about my experiences, and I would be standing in front of him so animated, it's just because I couldn't believe what I was saying, but I could tell he was open to listening. And my hands would be flying everywhere, and I'd be like half crying. It's like, because the realization, I kept the stuff tucked away so deep, and then I was coming out, and then it was just upsetting kind of to say it. It was like, because that's not who I am. I'm a very, in reality, logical, truthful, and to be saying things that sound completely made up was against everything I wanted to be, if that makes any sense. I just, like, I
Absolutely.
can't be saying this thing, even though it's the truth. I can't be saying it because it doesn't sound like the truth. And I can't be going around saying things that don't sound truthful. But what do? You're in this dilemma. So that was,
Yeah.
and then he got to the point, he says, okay, now you're to a point, it's so deep, I no longer know what you're talking about. And I
Been
had a
there.
stepdaughter that was listening and getting it and getting it. And she got to that point too. It's okay. You've crossed into something now. You're so deep. They cannot follow me. It's like, okay, I'll go
Right.
find some NDEers because,
Right.
it's way out there.
Right. It is definitely way out there. Absolutely. Yeah. The groups that I belong to is called IONS, IANDS, International Association for
Science.
Near Death. Yes, IONS. So yeah, I belong to those guys for a long, long, long time. So yeah, that was all fun and all, but very eye opening, very very cool. The information was just phenomenal. And then I wanted to add this too, that the Division of Perceptual Studies, University of Virginia Health System. The doctor was Dr. Bruce Grayson. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not. He and I have had a study relationship since 1995. I think it was 95 or 96. So he's been studying me and has wrote several books on the experiences that I've had and things like that too. Again, it's the being a kid having a near-death experience, because that in itself is life altering regardless of how old you are or how young you are. So in having that experience, nobody to talk to, and that was some of the questionnaires had to do with communication between adult and experiencer and other children, and how they responded and acted and things like that. So yeah, I did an ongoing study with him for a long time.
Yeah, even though I didn't remember my 5-year-old NDE until 20 years later after my second NDE when I was 25. It played out like this big movie screen in the night sky. And I was like, oh wow, I drowned when I was little in my family. I asked them, they confirmed that I did. But so I didn't, even though I didn't have the memory of, right after the drowning, I fully remembered, but eventually a few days, put it away. But because I couldn't talk about that, those things don't happen. But the thing is when I got looking back later, I could see all the spiritual experiences. They happened just the same, even though I didn't remember the drowning. It's like the change is still there.
Right.
Even
Right.
if you don't know you had, or don't even know the word NDE or any of those things, the changes are still there.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
to
yeah.
me, that's the proof,
Yeah.
for me is I had all these textbook signs when I didn't even know there was a textbook.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Understand that completely. Know the feeling. Yeah, I've got there's pictures of me when I was 5 and pictures of me just after I had my experience, almost 7. And it was kind of weird because being 5, I was just a bunch of little kid with a picture taken. When I was 7, 6, almost 7, I was very proper, had a suit on, my hands folded in front of me. I don't know where that came from, but I've been like that ever since then. So my mom and dad have both verified that, yeah, you changed. You definitely changed.
I don't know if I changed because I'm 5. You know, what was I meant to be, or who was I?
Right, exactly.
Compare. But I always had a high moral compass.
Yes.
In a family that didn't have a clue about morals. Even and being the youngest child, you know, that is not right. You should not have done that. And to be the one to call the police when everybody else is sitting around laughing because somebody got hurt, or just anything going on. That's like they just didn't see right from wrong. And not that I totally got it all, because after I got in my first husband's family, a big Catholic family, I started growing, becoming a better person, because their lifestyle showed me how you're supposed to act, you know. And so my family's lifestyle wasn't showing me, but I still had this ingrained, you know, of things that's just not right. You shouldn't do that, shouldn't do this. But yeah, it's certainly interesting.
Yes, it is.
Certainly
Absolutely
different.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah. And when people always make jokes, you know, as you probably know, oh, they're different, they're weird.
No,
Like,
oh yeah.
and then now that I'm 16 years old, I'm like, thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. It's no longer like, oh, I want to fit in. It's like, no, I'm not even going to try to fit into that.
No, I can't fit into that either. You know, I played music for a long, long time, and I retired in 2003. I just got sick of the traveling. But anyways, I had played at this one place, and there was a sign over the bar, and it always stick with me. And it says, "You laugh at me because I'm different. I laugh at you because you're all the same."
Yes, I'm constantly doing that, laughing at them because they're all the same.
Oh my God. Yes, unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. You know, we are awesomely powerful spiritual beings having a physical experience, and we're not very good at it.
Yeah. Yep. And people are like, oh, don't judge. But wait a minute. You want us to all be the same. Right. You want us all to subscribe to some book you read, and it says X, Y, and Z, and it's totally different than anything I've ever heard. But because I'm sitting on the fence here, I'm not going with that. Then where's the judgment now? You know, no judgments.
Right.
Like
right,
we only hang out with like-minded people. I'm like, how narrow-minded is that? So,
yeah, I have found too that some like-minded people are very narrow-minded.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, really, you can't conceive of anybody else's ideas or why, even though you don't think that, you can see why maybe their life led them to think that. But
right, exactly.
Anyway, well, you enjoy the rest of your day. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Peggy. I appreciate it.
And I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay, very good. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.